Not Here, Asian American Writers on Generational Trauma. My name is Seo-Young Chu. I will read brief excerpts from my work that are relevant to the panel topic. From Free Indirect Suicide, an Unfinished Fugue in H minor. Quote, for an English professor, she is very poorly able to articulate the why now for her suicidal gesture. More surprising is her inability to give a linear history, given that she is an English professor. She starts talking about her parents' parents when asked about why she is in the ER today, end quote. From Mental Status Exam Psych Resident MD Initial Evaluation Note, August 2016, patient Seo-Young Chu. My mother never talked about your life. My mother never talked about your death. Yet every time my mother raised her voice, your silence whispered through me like a breath. My mother never talked about your death. My mother never talked about your life. Yet every time my mother laid a hand, your absence bled my body like a knife. From Hwabyung Fragments. During the winter of 1950, my father and his parents were forced to leave their hometown. For weeks, they walked. They were part of a crowd of refugees who had nowhere to go but south. One day, by pure chance, they ran into my father's elder brother. He had strayed from his National Guard unit. He begged his father to let him join the rest of the family. My grandfather longed to protect his eldest son, but he could not break the law. Reluctantly, he urged his son to go find his unit. So my father's brother returned to the battlefront. The family spent several months in the southernmost end of Korea. In the spring, they were able to return to their hometown. There they waited for my father's brother. Finally, he arrived. He was gravely ill. Army generals had stolen much of the rice meant for the soldiers. After that, my grandfather was not the same. He wrote an elegy that did not end. Eventually, the elegy killed him. Excerpt from Translator of Soliloquies, Fugues in the Key of Dissociation. Scientists in West K have invented a new category of absence. The impact, they say, is shaped approximately like the outline of her body. Had you been asked to identify the remains, they might have said the impact is shaped exactly like the outline of her body. Yet, this is not exactly an equation. No one was ever equal to the occasion. Sorry, but you are looking for something that isn't here. When the outline is removed, the impact leaves you vacant. In fact, the imprint will leave you vacant of everything except for something called shock. No two people are exactly equal to any occasion. The shock, however, is temporary, and you were never asked to identify anything except for the leaves on the ground. After great shock, there is often confusion. The impulse is to follow every neuropath until the answer is uncovered in time. After a great storm, the leaves on the ground are impossible to identify. Outlines disintegrated, matter disintegrated. Even the impact of fingerprints disintegrated. We are so sorry, but you are looking for a presence that isn't here. From Free Indirect Suicide. Here in America, I'm dumb. Just one of many accusations, one of many spears aimed at her only daughter, aimed at me before she left America, forever left for home, her home in Seoul, where I, she says, am dumb. A dozen planets later, I can't help but wonder if she knew her aim was genius, poison, clear. That spear, it hit my ear and found the center of my brain. It grew a tangle of Hwabyung so dense, I could not learn again Korean. From I, Discomfort Woman. Epigraph 1, quote, even though there were supposedly some 200,000 Korean girls snatched from their homes, there were no instances of resistance, to say nothing of revolt, in Korea. Would not this make the Korean people look bad? Would we have ever encountered such cowards at any other time in world history? End quote. From a May 4, 2022 email sent from an email address ending in .jp to Seo-Young.Chu1@qc.uni.edu. Epigraph 2, quote, blank space, end quote. The Stanford English Department, in response to my repeated requests for restorative dialogue. The silence of Japan rhymes with the silence of Stanford English, with which my voice does not consent to rhyme. Thank you.